You are live on 98.9 Northwest FM. I'm Nathan. What's made me happy this week? I guess out of two things, I would say. One we'll talk about hopefully later in the show, which is I rewatched The Naked Gun with Leslie Nielsen. And just to mention it briefly, I just love how whenever he's driving somewhere, he just casually crashes the car. It's just like a small detail in the movie, but I appreciate it.
You just can't park.
Just like every time, no, but just like every scene he's driving, they just casually crash the car and he gets out and it's no big deal. And what's made me happy specifically this week is the return date of the rehearsal next week.
Yeah, baby.
The 20th.
Nice.
That just makes me extremely happy.
420.
Yeah.
Blaze it. Also Easter Sunday.
Easter Sunday. I think that's probably more in his mind. Like, let's do it on Easter Sunday.
Also WrestleMania.
And WrestleMania.
Also Conquest. There's too much going on.
I mean, but the rehearsal is the biggest event.
Yeah, 100%.
Apparently, I didn't watch the trailer. I'm avoiding it.
Yeah, me too.
But
I watched it. I won't say anything.
Don't say anything. But people are saying it's very much almost like I'm losing the word. What is it? Synecdoche, New York.
We talked about the first season was very much that.
Like, there's so many shenanigans he's got up to that people are wondering what's he doing that might feature into the show. Like, he visited some famous criminal with like like with camera system and everything. Like, he's going to prisons, he's going to courts, he's doing all these kinds of weird things. I'm like, what's he doing?
He's been seen around airports and stuff as well.
Yeah. Well, I've seen the show, so I won't spoil anything. But yeah.
Anyway, that made me happy.
Yeah, it's going to be big.
Also joined by James. What's something that's made you happy this week, James?
This is also something we might talk about a bit later. But I think the fact that the Coyote versus Acme movie got sold.
Yes.
Warner Brothers shelved it for a tax write-off, and it got sold for a distribution. So
Ketchup or something like that? Yeah, nice.
So that's pretty good news.
Yeah.
Seems to be a business that was created just to buy it as well. It's not
Yeah,
like
well,
a pre-existing business.
They did the Looney Tunes the day the Earth blew up, which we might talk about later.
Also joined by Callum. What's something that's made you happy this week, Callum?
Not a lot.
Keeping it positive, please.
Well, I'm still down for Tron Ares. I know it's a divisive thing.
Jared Leto, though.
Yeah, that's why it's divisive. But
Nine Inch Nails soundtrack.
That's what I was going to say. I still remember having my socks blown off when that screeching Sonicscape was accompanied the logo announcement. I was like, and then it comes up with the 9 Inch Nails logo. I was like, wow. Yeah. So there's a I don't want to use the word Sonic again, but there's like a vision that I guess Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor have that I want to see how that translates.
There's also a lot of other talented people on the crew, like the cinematographer and stuff. So
the trailer didn't blow me away. But it's one of those things where I'm kind of just a simp for the Tron franchise at this point. That
me too.
I would, if it comes out on IMAX, because it was filmed for IMAX, I'd be interested in going just to see the spectacle and the sound.
Oh, I'll see it, and I'll grip my teeth through Jared Leto, but I'll see it.
He might be, you know what, he's a good actor. It's one of the things where, because he has there's been some things behind the scenes.
It's just, I can't cast aspersions on the man, but Google News is not his friend.
That's what I was going to say.
We had like a whole thing years ago where everyone was like shitting on Jared Leto, and we were like, no, he's actually a good actor if you think about it. But the last 10 years, he's
dropped off.
been...
I mean, it's this whole thing with Jared Leto, not to, I guess, go on too much of a tangent, but it's this whole thing with him where it's like, you know, with his band 30 Seconds to Mars, they have like a camp where everyone worships him, and there's very much a deify weirdness to him.
Yeah, obviously, but, you know, separate the art and the artist and all that stuff.
I find it creepy.
He doesn't seem to be a very good person.
But even then, it's, I don't know, like how much, it's the whole thing with celebrity, but... The issue is that he seems to just not have picked good roles. Yeah. For the last 10 years. Because he's a good actor. Yeah. But it's 100%. One of those things where every role he picks seems to be kind of a dud. Yeah. And it's because he seems to pick the big tentpole movies, and the ones he chooses unfortunately just don't succeed. Yeah. Or because of his reputation, he's not getting I mean, his last... It wasn't even a meaty role, but his last successful, in quotation marks...
The Mob?
No, it was going to be Blade Runner 2049, I suppose, and it wasn't even...
Morbius came out after
even then, that movie's not necessarily a good film either.
Well, yeah, we in the studio all agree that Blade Runner 2049 isn't great. But, obviously after the Joker controversy, it was just kind of like, okay, but, yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about that when it comes out.
That's what made me happy, was seeing the trailer, because I was like, oh yeah, this exists.
Yeah, well, hopefully they release the original and Tron Legacy on 4K. and hopefully, I doubt it very much, but hopefully they release the Tron Uprising animated series on physical media, because Disney has not done that, and I don't even know if it's on Disney Plus.
It wouldn't surprise me. I've unsubscribed from Disney, so I can't even check.
I'm not even going to check. I'm not going to give them my money.
Before we move on, while we're on the kind of our intro, another thing that's kind of weirded me out is the obsession with pushing 28 days later to new formats. How is it going to look good on 4K, James? Explain it to me. It was shot on camcorder.
Yeah, I don't know. That's going to be interesting. I think
its resolution is 480p.
Yeah, I think like
there's only so much you can do with the information
like, would
that you've got.
even
I wouldn't.
The information
like
wouldn't be there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is the information you've already got for that footage is set now. You can't go back and re-record it.
Hopefully they don't try to do an AI.
I have a feeling it's going to be a ghastly AI job.
Yeah.
Because I don't see what else they could do to clean it up.
What also shoots me, which we'll probably again talk about this later when 28 years later comes out, but it shoots me that they, like the studio ignored 28 days later and 28 weeks later for over a decade, 15 plus years. It got the Blu-ray releases, but other than that, it's like wasn't on any streaming services. It was just dead. Like there was nothing. And now finally that the new one's coming out and people are like,
remember this classic franchise?
And then it's like, well, now all of a sudden it pops up on streaming, and now all of a sudden it's coming to 4K, and I'm like, well, that's good, but it's like,
this movie is a bugbear of mine. And I know that's the artistic goal, right? Was to shoot it on the camcorder so it looked grimy and gritty, and that's fine. Then, like, why do a 4K release? Just say, look, here's a Blu-ray. Here's a new Blu-ray.
I think it's interesting to have a film that stands on its own as a piece of art and just leave it alone.
Like, because there's nothing wrong with, like, Blu-ray and 4K. Like, you got a new... It's not like back in the old days when you have to re-release it on the new format because it's incompatible with the old.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you've shot something on film, obviously...
there's work you can do to clean it up.
Like a lot of room you have to...
But there's no point in remastering this movie specifically in 4K, I would argue, unless they've got some super technique or something that the studios can do. But what?
Yeah, we'll see.
Hit us up if you know the answer.
Can I make a quick amendment to my what made me happy for the week?
Yeah, sure.
The film bro feelings about Civil War are finally changing. I'm seeing a lot of takes about how Civil War actually wasn't good in retrospect.
I like Civil War.
I'm talking about Alex Garland's movie.
Oh, I was talking about Marvel.
I thought you were talking about Marvel too.
Oh god, I was like, oh man, I like Captain America Civil War.
I'm like, the tide has shifted.
Yeah,
everyone's
I also went straight to Marvel.
Alex Garland's Civil War. I
a little
shut
white
that
spot,
off.
little black spot.
That's something that also made me happy. Was people are finally like, maybe it wasn't good, and I'm like, see,
it's because not to get political in the show, but it's now people may be realizing that there is a problem with a guy doing 3 terms in office.
Well, that it's dangerous to be like, oh, both sides. Oh, this isn't about politics, it's about journalism. Blah 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 blah. Shut up.
And now anyway, there's struggles.
We told you so. Anyway, that made me happy. So I'm sorry.
All right, let's move on. So we're going to start our show, I guess, with The Rule of Jenny Penn.
Yes.
Which is on streaming now for listeners. It's a Shudder exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty big get for him.
Yeah, and we were lucky enough to see it in our local theatre, which is always a pleasant surprise.
Well, I remember seeing the trailer for this a while ago and being like, that looks really interesting. And I thought it's like a low-budget indie horror movie, New Zealand movie. And I was like, there's no way that's going to come to like our local Hoyts, chain cinema mainstream release. But it popped up and I was like, I'm going. Like this is a chance we don't get a lot.
I think like the only reason it came to Australia is because of John Lithgow and Jeffrey Rush. I'm like, it's got these two kinds of honoured, kind of lauded.
Especially Jeffrey Rush being
Rush.
Yeah, but I mean, there's still a lot of movies that I even if they did get a cinema release, I figured would be more limited, to your Pentridge or So the fact that it came to our local Hoyts was awesome. I was like, guys, we got to go.
It wasn't what I thought it was. I knew nothing about the movie going in.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. It was it's one of those movies where it's unique. It's almost it's like a prison film.
I really liked it. Like it's about Jeffrey Rush plays an elderly judge,
Stefan Mortensen.
Yeah, who has a stroke and he gets put in like an old folks home, and he's basically, him and the other residents are terrorized by one of the other patients there. John Lithgow's character.
John Henare, who plays Tony Garfield, is his
John
like
Lithgow.
cellmate. No,
I'm talking about John Lithgow's character. He's the one who terrorizes.
Oh yeah. Before that, you said him and the other inmates are terrorized, like him.
Yeah,
and the
but
other
not
patients.
just his roommate. Like the whole
place.
The whole place.
Yeah, is terrorized by John, and John Lithgow's character has this like
the doll,
baby doll puppet that he has on his hand that he uses like as a I guess an intimidation technique, and he also talks to it.
The doll can, in the movie, it's explained kind of like, maybe the doll can help you express some things that you can't do yourself, and so he uses like the doll to be a really nasty individual.
But that he's also he plays it as this dementia kind of like, I don't know where I'm a defenseless old man, and then when he's not looking,
he's a psychopath.
He's like a complete psycho and does whatever he wants. Yeah, but yeah, I thought it was really, really good, really interesting, and I what's the word I'm looking for? Like it without the horror thriller elements, whatever, just the thing of like getting old. It's terrifying.
Yeah, and that's half the movie.
And I think that's just basically
the vulnerability of being, so Jeffrey Rush's character.
It's the vulnerability of being defenseless.
He's confined to a wheelchair, and it's not only is it he's in a place where it's not home, but it's also he's got limited mobility. He can't stop people from hurting him. He has no autonomy. And that's it's getting old in a nutshell, where it's like it's stripping away your dignity. Yeah,
and obviously his mind is slipping, his memory and stuff. Yeah, so
not to mention the abuse that really does happen in these places.
That's the other.
I'm sure some abuse happens as depicted in the film, but it's also different kinds of abuse inflicted on the elderly from carers as well as other patients.
Usually about like the nurses being like really evil and stuff or whatever. But this is like specifically one of the other.
There's one specific scene for me that I thought was the worst, and it's probably not the one you would expect. It's the scene where Jeffrey Rush is getting kicked under the table.
Oh, that was brutal.
And that was brutal because it looked real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It looked like he was kicking.
The sound was
the sound design.
The sound design in this movie is great.
Yeah, and I thought it was great. Like,
John Lithgow plays a great bad guy.
He's also like, the Australian accent is like the hardest to do for a non-Australian. And even though technically, I guess they're in New Zealand, and
it's a similar enough accent.
It's similar enough
you can get away with it.
Yeah, and New Zealand is not an easy accent to do either. So John Lithgow's accent, I think, was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think most, especially American actors, like, it's really hard to get Australian, New Zealand, and his is a bit more broad, but it doesn't go full Cockney like other actors sometimes do. I think it works. And I just, his performance is so deranged, and it's so good. I really liked it. I think when we were talking about The First Omen, what's The First Omen? No, it was Immaculate. Where she goes to the convent for nuns who are like, in hospice care, and it's like they're still nuns, but they need to be taken care of because they're, got dementia or whatever. And then they just did nothing with that premise. This is like a horror, thriller.
It's about
where it's about getting old and losing your faculties and the way people treat you and being vulnerable, and it was really good. I really liked it. I think it's really
like we said after we saw it, the only issue with the film is that it presumes that the place that the company that runs and organizes the hospice place has no kind of security footage, full stop.
That's the one thing we discussed this after the movie.
That's the chief conceit.
I turned to the guys, I was like, if you can suspend your disbelief just for that part, then you just don't. But they don't mention it in security cameras at all. It's just like they don't exist.
There's cameras in like the lobby, and then as soon as you get into like where the patients are, there's like no cameras.
I think that it could. Sorry, go on.
No, you go on.
It could have added another layer to the film if there was some kind of security system but he paid him off.
Well, I thought because it's hinted, not to go into spoilers, but it's hinted that John Lithgow has a history with this specific nursing
he knew how to
home.
disable them.
So
first,
I was like, he's gonna, maybe there were deleted scenes where he goes and loops the tapes or something.
Yeah.
But maybe they thought it was too
but
much.
I thought that could have added another layer.
Definitely.
I think there'd probably be systems in place in real life, obviously, suspension of disbelief, to like when you disconnect someone's kind of switch to call for help, that will probably alert them anyway. But it's just things like that where if you can switch that off, it's a really tight kind of thriller.
Yeah.
It would have been because, I would have liked to see an angle where the Jeffrey Rush's character is a judge. It would have been interesting to see him try and find loopholes in the contracts of like whatever he signs to the place to try and get help from outside or to try and get them to face the problem.
Yeah.
And you got this other angle where he's trying to force them to act on it while they don't want to. But yeah, that's just another. There's so many things they could have done to add complexity where it could also be a TV show. There's so much meat so many things they could have done where they could have expanded it to a mini series or
especially
something.
with Jeffrey Rush's character, like he's kind of a dick, and sometimes his frustration is understandable, but other times like this guy's just kind of an asshole, a bit up himself, and I feel like they didn't do enough maybe to show him sort of growing as a character and being like, hey, maybe I should be. He does at the end sort of with his roommate and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I think they could have. There's definitely elements that could be improved in, but I think overall it's just a really enjoyable, creepy kind of.
Yeah, good mid-budget, non-supernatural horror thriller. That's not too common anymore. Yeah. It's like the kind of movie you'd get in the 90s.
I also love, like, speaking of supernatural, like, it's not a supernatural movie, but I love the design of the doll, and there are moments of, the kind of imagery, hallucination.
Like Lynchian kind of imagery.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Yeah,
because the doll is the bad guy.
I love that the way
we don't get thrillers at the pictures anymore. That's the other thing. That's great to see. It's not a horror film as such. It's a thriller.
Yeah, and most of these movies do just go straight to streaming.
Yeah, and I'm glad Shudder picked it up because it's a movie that deserves to be seen. Yeah, it's a small New Zealand movie. It could have just faded away.
Yeah, and most of the time it would just go straight.
And like when I turned Shudder on to have a look, and it was like it got prominent display on Shudder too.
That's good.
Yeah, good.
So go watch it. Support local thriller horror. Support local mid-budget movies, small budget films.
Support the Kiwis.
Yeah, our Kiwi brethren. Mm-hmm. They can become state anytime they want. Anyway, moving on.
Don't do that.
Don't at us. We're sorry. Can we join you instead?
We're gonna tariff the Kiwi.
All right. So me and James also had the pleasure of seeing another kind of movie we don't see in the cinemas all that often anymore. We saw the new Looney Tunes movie, The Day
the Earth Blew Up.
The Day the Earth Blew Up, featuring Porky Pig and Daffy Duck. And this was a treat for me.
Yeah.
It's not often that we go and we see like a classically, I'm not sure it was hand-drawn, but a classically animated 2D. Kind of 2D feature.
Yeah.
And especially a Looney Tunes movie. We were 100%. Discussing before in our intro that, we might get to see the new, that cancelled one come back next year, possibly.
Well, I mean, it's a two multifaceted thing, but there were two main things that was one of the reasons I really wanted to see this. Well, I love the Looney Tunes, obviously, but like one was that Warner Brothers, the Warner Brothers Discovery merger happened. David Zaslav, the boss of Warner or whatever,
he's all about reality TV.
He's all about he's just taking things off the streaming services. He's writing off fully completed movies and not releasing them just for a tax break. Like, it was just awful. Like, he does not care about any of the art or industry or people who work on the things. He's just trying to shave everything down, maximize get rid of the debt, maximize the profit. He's just there to help keep the shareholders happy. He's also the guy who decided
to take HBO away from the Max branding.
He's an idiot.
So genius level.
And he's also like whether his techniques are helping, with the monetary aspect, it doesn't matter because he's ruining the reputation of the brand. HBO is no longer the premium
prestige.
The prestige.
HBO is where we go to watch things that have already been made, not coming out now.
That's the thing, yeah. HBO started as, it's a home box office. You go rent movies. And then they started making their own stuff. And I was like, this is the best stuff on TV.
And now it's like...
and now it's back to the beginning of
Max recently came out here. We subscribed, but I'm more watching old stuff. It's like, I'm just going to watch the old stuff because the old stuff is still good, but I know you're not making anything great that's new.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So
David Zaslav is more about reality TV than scripted.
Yeah.
And so he's been canning a lot of stuff. One of those things was the Looney Tunes movie.
Yeah.
And so when we did get...
The
Day the Earth Blew Up.
Catch Up Entertainment, which is like a small independent company, I guess because the budget wasn't too big for Warner Brothers, they put it up for sale, and Catch Up Entertainment bought it for distribution, and so it was able to be released around the world. But I
think they're saying 2026 now.
Oh no, I'm talking about the one we saw.
Oh, the one we saw. Okay. Yeah.
So Catch Up Entertainment bought that one first because it was Warner Brothers was like, well, this is cheap. This was cheaper to make than the other one, Coyote versus Acme. So the tax write-off, isn't as big as if maybe we just sell it, and then so Catch Up bought it. They released it. So, that's a reason, I was like, oh my God, it got released. We have to go see it.
Yeah.
And two, Nathan and I were discussing after we saw the movie. It's like, I can't remember the last, big budget, 2D animated movie, at the mainstream cinema. I think I've seen anime movies at, the Nova.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah, that's different. They're more specialty films.
I guess there was, the Lord of the Rings movie and stuff, but I didn't see that. I haven't really...
But that's also Lord of the Rings. That's different than what we're talking about.
Yeah. But there hasn't been a 2D mainstream
kind of family
movie
comedy
for a long
animated
time.
film.
It's all moved over to 3D animation. And also I was like, I don't think I've ever seen a Looney Tunes movie at the cinema because I was probably too young to go to Space Jam.
We had to think about it, Callum. We couldn't think of much. Yeah.
If I did see Space Jam, was it
96,
97?
I have a gut feeling Nathan and me would have been gone.
If I did see it at the cinema, I don't remember, which is a shame because I feel like I would remember that because I kind of love that movie. I didn't see Back in Action at the cinema. No. I don't think. I don't remember seeing any Looney Tunes at the actual cinema.
What was the first movie your parents took you to see?
At the cinema? I don't remember, but the earliest movie I remember seeing at the cinema might be Toy Story 2.
I have it on authority from our mother that the first movie we saw was The Lion King.
Yeah.
Sorry to divert. It's just
no. It's a good. I don't but when was Toy Story 2? 98, 99? So I would have been older then. So there must be something else, but my memory's not that great.
Yeah, I'm sure there's again. It's a long time ago. We're old.
The first movie I remember seeing ever, my in terms of how far my memory goes, when I must have been 3 or 4, Return of the Jedi. Which I think is why it's still my favorite. Because I was like, it's the first movie I ever remember, as far as my memory can reach back.
The 3-year-old James watching Blue Velvet.
My parents were, pretty cool, but they weren't that cool.
So we went to see this movie and we had a great time. And I reckon, for me, I think it struggled in the middle a little bit.
It did get a bit slow, yeah.
But the start was great.
Yeah.
The setup of the boys being kind of
Porky Pig and Daffy Duck get adopted by a
Farmer
burly
Jim,
farmer, Farmer Jim,
and just the animation, Callum, is classic 2D animation.
Oh, so good,
lovely and flat, not 3D at all. Except for a couple of bits,
kind of painted backgrounds, and then
and it just looks so good on the cinema screen. How did it ever go out of fashion? It just looks so nice.
Number one, Pixar. I do blame Pixar a bit for popularizing. And also Disney just lost I blame Disney because the whole changing of animation modes. Yeah. They lost the source.
We've talked about it
also the kids just don't like it.
Yeah, we talked about it as well as the 2D animated movies stopped doing well at cinema, and so 3D movies became more popular. And then I think Disney tried one last time with Princess and the Frog, and that movie flopped, and then they were like, we're never doing this again. And it's a shame because I feel like you could
Just make animated movies for 30-year-old men. It'd be fine.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like they don't make movies like that because they're like, we're trying to get the biggest audience, so we have to make the safest. We have to make a Minecraft movie.
Which apparently is going
it's the biggest movie ever made.
So I was gonna say, we've been playing Minecraft for years. We were in high school.
It's our game.
When Minecraft came out, like when the beta came out, we were in
Yeah.
high school, so we had like the grand experience. I don't understand it anymore because there's all these memes like chicken. Have you seen the things on the internet of like people like throwing up with excitement over a chicken jockey?
Oh yeah,
like literally vomiting in the cinema because they're so excited.
Apparently, in the cinema, every time there's a reference,
kids like
all
screaming.
the kids scream and
it's
run
like
around.
Rocky. Apparently, someone's like they haven't seen anything like it since Rocky Horror, but it's like all the memes and references are baked in.
Yeah.
So it's like they already know the film before it's come out. Like so, for context, Steve, right? Jack Black plays a character called Steve. He has that thing, I am Steve. That's the name of the default skin of the character in Minecraft. Yeah. He's not a real character. Yeah. It's the name of the skin.
But that's it. Yeah, it's like...
I was like, what are you talking... Why is everyone cheering because my name is Steve?
Because they know that they understood that reference. Like I
guess it's a reference.
Yeah. Like
anyway,
But I think that's
it's
the thing.
It's going gangbusters. It's already made like over $300 million, $150 million budget.
It's insane. But I guess Looney Tunes is a big... name
over Zaslav's dead body.
Yeah,
they're knocking down the building or something, or they want to knock down that building.
He's just like all like the animated Looney Tunes animated stuff's been taken off.
It's like he wasn't allowed to watch these as a kid, and he's like, no one can watch it.
Getting his revenge.
Yeah. I didn't have fun, so no kids, no people can have fun.
Add on more Discovery Channel content now.
More was it?
More Real Housewives. More Real Housewives and Ice Truckers now.
I still love the fact that the rehearsal got to stay. Because
Zazav's like, is it real? Is it fake?
Is it scripted or is it yes? Is it fake? He's like, yes. And then if you look at the rehearsal, it's in like the reality TV section of the programming.
And I guess James Gunn has enough sway where it's like, okay, you can have a few DC animated shows. But yeah, I think like even though Minecraft might be the biggest thing right now, like Looney Tunes, kids still, I'm assuming, know like Bugs Bunny and stuff.
Yeah.
It's probably not as popular as it was when we were younger and when our parents were younger, because that's how long they've been around. But I think it's still like a big IP, but they haven't. I mean, they've done TV shows like animated series.
They need to capitalize on it more.
Yeah, but maybe they didn't capitalize it more. And then finally, when they did make the Coyote vs. Acme live action / animated hybrid movie, then David Zaslav shelved it, and we didn't get to see it, and everyone was up in arms. And then this movie, which is fully animated, they shelved it, and I was like, damn. And then this one came out, and I was like, hey, this is actually pretty fun. And then luckily, Ketchup Entertainment, who released this one, they also finally were able to buy. I guess this maybe the fact that the Earth did well enough that they were like, okay, now we can buy. Coyote vs. Acme. If they had to do the smaller one first to go back to the bigger one, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, luckily we'll be able to see Coyote vs. Acme.
I mean,
soon.
Unfortunately, The Day the Earth Blew Up also didn't do particularly well.
Yeah, true.
So,
but
we'll see.
Yeah,
I think
at least it prompted. Hopefully,
I think the next one will do better because it's bigger and it's a larger budget and it's live
well-known
action.
Actors, yeah.
It's also notorious. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
there's more of
people will go to see it just to see it.
Yeah. If they play their cards right, they would have a campaign of see the movie they didn't want you to see.
That would be funny.
Like the movie they tried to ban.
Funny.
The movie they tried to tax.
They should put black bars over coyotes.
There's a way
to market
this movie into being instantly
actually
everywhere.
Since you brought that up, the fact that Ketchup Entertainment is just a small company and they bought it from Warner Brothers, it means they don't have the marketing budget that Warner Brothers does. So one of the things with The Day the Earth Blew Up, and one of the reasons it maybe didn't do as well as it could have, is because there was no marketing,
lack of reach,
zero, because they just don't have the budget. Luckily they were able to release it, but other than that they weren't really able to push it. And so it's probably the same with Coyote vs. Acme.
There's a chance you can make this go viral.
Yeah, hopefully, because there's already more of an inbuilt reputation as to what happened to it. Hopefully, and people should go out and see it. Like, whether you have kids or not, go out and see these movies because that, like we said, they don't really make these kinds of movies
It's
anymore.
a private company. Whoever owns that is doing the Lord's work.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean,
Could be Spielberg. Because, he was big into Looney Tunes and
Yeah.
stuff.
It was founded by Gareth West, Arta Galstian, and Vahan Yepremian.
Shout
I'm
out.
probably-
shout out to them.
Probably butchering those names, but I'm sorry, I love you.
Yeah.
Look, it was a good movie, and I enjoyed it. It drags a little in the middle, picks up a bit at the end, but the start is solid.
There's some, really
There's
solid
some real
jokes.
good start. There's some real good moments at the start.
There's some, like, good, I guess, modern kind of jokes, but nothing that, where it's cringy and drags it out. Like, Daffy Duck becomes a YouTuber. It's like, there's one, like, TikTok joke, and, like, that was funny, and then they move on. It's like, it wasn't...
It's definitely a movie like we talk about, or it's a family movie that everyone can get something out of. Like me and James had a good time. Little kids can have a good time.
I think also
the Eshays that were in our session had a good time.
I think they were taking the piss, to be honest.
They stayed for the whole movie.
I think they only stayed because there was the younger brother or whoever he was there.
Maybe.
I think that's the only reason they were there. Otherwise, they couldn't care less. But I mean, we were the only ones in the cinema, I think. But yeah, I think it's definitely worth checking out. So if you can support it. Definitely.
Again, support Looney Tunes, fight back against Zaslav.
Yeah.
Like show him that the Bugs Bunny means a lot to us. It means a lot to us. He should mean a lot to
or
you.
just good movies and animation, 2D animation and stuff that we don't get as much anymore is important.
It is very important. We'll be back with more right after these quick messages. You're back on the Tuesday Review Live on 98.9 Northwest FM. Moving along. So I guess our third movie that we're going to be talking about is a new action movie.
Yeah.
Novocaine. Is it Novocaine or Novocaine No Pain? So is it one of those things where it's called different things in different regions?
So the movie's called Novocaine, but in Australia, I don't know why. Maybe there was some rights issue or whatever. It's marketed as Novocaine No Pain, which is a terrible name.
You know
but
what
I guess
that might be? So the Australian government really doesn't like drug references.
Yeah.
And it's like everywhere. In video games and media, they hate drug references. So maybe it had to be more of a slogan to get like approval.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But but the movie is called Novocaine. When you watch the movie, it says Novocaine on the title, and in America, it's just released as Novocaine. So that's what it's called. That's what we're calling it. I saw a trailer for this a while ago. It stars Jack Quaid as a bank, like a assistant manager at a bank. And he has a condition, which is a real condition, where he can't feel pain. And he falls in love with one of the bank tellers, and she gets kidnapped by some bank robbers who take her hostage after robbing the bank, and he uses his
special set of skills.
Yeah, his I guess
his
disease.
Numbness.
Yeah, like he has his condition. He uses it to his advantage to chase them down, and when he gets beaten up, it doesn't matter because he can't feel it. But obviously, he can still be injured and killed and whatever. It's just kind of like a action comedy where he's running around and getting into trouble and trying to track down the girl and save her. I think the start of the movie is pretty good. It's probably made the strongest part, because it sets up his condition and it takes it really seriously, and it shows how it's more a curse than a blessing.
Because in real life, you don't know things are happening to you. So if you cut your foot and you don't know about it, it can then get infected.
Exactly.
So it's not all fun and games.
You can break a bone, you wouldn't know it for ever. So or if you drink something really hot and burn your tongue, you wouldn't know. Yeah. And so it can cause a lot of problems. And I think the start of the movie does a really good job of showing that, and how he has to basically walk around on eggshells, because he
can do permanent damage to your body.
Exactly. And then when he meets this girl and falls in love, and she kind of helps him to live life a little bit more, so he's not as afraid. And then when she obviously gets taken hostage, and he's like, oh no, that's. And then it becomes more
insert action movie here.
Yeah, he goes John Wick on everyone. He's like, that's my girlfriend, whatever. I think it's good. I enjoyed it. It's not great. Jack Quaid is good. But I think, once it gets into the action stuff, like I really liked, like I said, the setup and then the relationship building and the chemistry between Jack Quaid and Amber Midthunder, I think is the actress's name.
That's a name. That's a good surname.
Yeah, she's Native American.
Midthunder.
It's like really good chemistry, and it's like, oh, okay, this is fun. It's like you almost could make like a romantic comedy just based on this premise. But then it becomes like more action, and he's like chasing after the guys, and like the action is fine. It's nothing special. He obviously, there's some bits where he like gets injured in crazy ways, but it doesn't affect him. And it's kind of funny and kind of gross and whatever. And he's not an action guy. He's just a bank teller. And so he's like falling over and trying to figure out ways to defend himself. I feel like maybe they could have pushed it a bit further. I don't know. Like
It's always the balance of like, do you want a mainstream movie or do you want a niche?
Well, I mean, I'm not saying they should have gone full like, crazy gory, but
Mandy.
They could have, but they definitely could have maybe gone more absurd, or they could have gone more realistic. But I think, there's definitely like, I don't want to spoil it, but there's bits where he gets hurt, and it's like maybe they should have left that later in the movie, so it's like he gets more damage as he goes on. There are some good. There's a bit where he's getting tortured by one of the bad guys, and he's pretending to be hurt. So the guy's like stabbing him in the leg and like circling the knife around his leg, and he's going, "Oh yeah, oh no, please stop." There's bits like that, but I think overall it's just kind of. It's just a low, but it's like a low budget action comedy. They probably could have done it in gone a different direction. Yeah. And the ending's pretty lackluster, but it's not bad. Like, it's an enjoyable movie. I would definitely recommend it. Just, it's a bit of fun.
Again, support your mid-budget movies.
That's another reason why I wanted to go see it. I was like, it's an R-rated action movie, technically, original story, not based on any existing IP. So I was like, I like Jack Quaid, I was like, I'll check it out. And it was good. I enjoyed it. It was fun. I found out there was a 2018 Indian action comedy called The Man Who Feels No Pain, which is on Netflix at the moment.
Oh, very good.
So I watched that as well after I saw Novocaine, and that was fun too. Like that's more.
Do they hit similar kind of beats?
They actually do, but they're different. They're obviously very different.
Obviously,
movies.
one's Bollywood.
Yeah, but the Indian one is more. It's not full crazy like Kung Fu Hustle or Shaolin Soccer, but it's got those Stephen Chow vibes where it's like it's more like a Kung Fu movie.
Is there a song? Is there a Bollywood type song in the middle where it's I can feel no pain but your heartbreak?
No, there should have been. There's actually no like song and dance musical sequences, but there's a lot of like training montages where there's an original song that
and is the Indian flag going in the background? Like,
no, it wasn't that patriotic.
Like in what's the movie we saw?
Fighter,
yeah. Where they're in the helicopter and they bring that to flag.
That was sick.
That was cool.
I felt so patriotic.
We were patriotic. Yeah,
for a country I've never been to and have no real connection. Yeah. No, but the Man Who Feels No Pain was more of a zany kung fu comedy. Like he feels no pain, so his grandpa kind of teaches him how to
be the perfect weapon.
No, he teaches him just how to move around in the world and be careful. But his father is overprotective, so his grandpa's more of the one who helps him. And then he gets addicted to watching like Bruce Lee movies, and he becomes like a martial artist. And then he has to save the girl and whatever. It's a very different movie to Novocaine. It's just that similar premise. Yeah. So they were both enjoyable, and I'd say check The Man Who Feels No Pain out as well. It's on Netflix at the moment. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Moving along, I guess I brought it up in the intro, so I'll mention it. On the hype of the new Naked Gun movie, I rewatched the original, which is specifically I watched it on Netflix because Netflix has the new 4K Dolby Vision.
Ooh.
And it looks incredible.
Is Dolby Vision new on? Has that been around on Netflix?
Oh, it's been around for quite a while, but in the last probably 6 months to a year, they've been bringing out movies that aren't Netflix originals that have.
That's
Dolby
what I was going to
Vision.
say. It used to just be for originals.
Yes, in the last 6 months to a year, they've been bringing out some movies that have it. And The Naked Gun is one of them. It's new to Netflix at the moment. So I watched that because of the new one coming out. what a good time. And I must reiterate, the picture on this Netflix version is incredible. It looks amazing. It makes me want to go out and buy the new 4K.
I want to get the disc. Yeah,
it looks amazing, James. I mean, you watch it and you'll be blown away.
Yeah,
it's like watching it for the first time. I loved it.
Yeah,
and as I mentioned in the intro, I just love how every time he drives, he just casually crashes the car.
Funny.
It's just a small thing in the movie, but for me, it's like it's the small things that matter.
They, the great thing about those movies is like every single shot is packed. Like every single minute is just packed with jokes.
Yeah,
like it's a comedy.
Abrams something.
Yeah, Abrams Zucker. Yeah.
Oh man,
those I think we've talked about them before. Of like those zany comedies, like Flying High, which is called Airplane in America.
Yeah.
Top Secret, R.I.P. Val Kilmer, and Naked Gun, and those kind of movies. Like they don't make them anymore.
And I'm so excited to see the new one at the cinemas.
Yeah, and so that's what's interesting is the new Naked Gun. The only reason it's being made and getting a cinema release is because it's an existing IP. Let's face it.
Yeah.
But I'm happy for the fact that from the teaser trailer, it's keeping the zany, kind of goofy comedy. And we haven't had that in a mainstream cinema release anymore.
In a long time.
As we've discussed, they don't really make comedies like that at the movies. They all go to streaming. And the ones that go to streaming, comedies are different now. They're more, there's a lot of dramedy. There's more like...
If it's comedy, it's meta.
Or it's meta, yeah.
There's no silly anymore.
I think one of the movies one of the only comedies I really, really liked over the last few years was Bottoms, because that was had more of an absurd kind of feel to it. But even that was like, I had to go to the Nova to see that, which, whereas Naked Gun, it's I guess a studio movie. It's got Liam Neeson, like it's gonna, I'm assuming, get a wider release. Yeah. So I'm happy for that, and it's directed by Akiva Schaffer, who's from Lonely Island and does a lot of those.
Actually, you know what?
So I think that'll be fun.
We didn't go to the movies to see it, I don't think, but the Please Don't Destroy the Treasure of Foggy Island was good.
But that was a Netflix movie. Wasn't
it got a cinema release.
Did it?
In America, I think it did.
I thought it was a Netflix. I thought it was a Netflix.
It was a streaming film, but
no, it wasn't. It's Netflix in Australia, but it wasn't in America. I'll look that up because I might be wrong.
Okay, yeah, no, I still haven't seen that one.
But that's like a classic comedy.
Yeah, it's real funny. It's good.
Yeah, because they don't make just straight comedies like that, especially at the cinema.
Yeah. So I rewatched that, and again, it's a joke a minute. It's a great time, and I can't wait to see the next one.
I watched Wrongly Accused last year, I think.
Oh no, it was initially slated for theatrical release, but they chickened out and released it as a Peacock exclusive.
Please Don't Destroy,
Please Don't Destroy the Treasure of Foggy Mountain.
Which I can't remember, but it came to I think Netflix.
It came to Netflix in Australia. Yeah.
But yeah, I watched. Because Leslie Nielsen, after Naked Gun, he did a whole bunch of those like Spy Hard and those kind of spoof movies. And I watched Wrongfully Accused a few months ago. And it's so funny. It's like
I wanted to watch it, but the version on Netflix was literally standard definition and looked terrible on my TV.
Oh my god!
If you look it up, it's really funny. It looks shit.
What?
Yeah, so no, I had that issue with Young Guns.
Oh yeah.
Even the Blu-ray is terrible.
No, that was That was
but no, Wrongfully Accused on Netflix is standard definition. It's like the only other standard definition movie I've seen is that that terrible. What's the? Oh no, I'm blanking. The American Russian guy, the Aikido. What's his name? Terrible actor, terrible human being. Steven Seagal. He has that movie. We watched it with the slap fight.
Yeah.
That movie, you know what I'm talking about. I'll look it up. Yeah. But that was also in standard definition. It was high definition, but like upscaled VHS.
I remember we talked about it. I was like, but that's kind of the way you have to watch a Steven Seagal movie. Is like pretend you're watching VHS.
On Deadly Ground?
On Deadly Ground. That's it. Amazing movie, bad transfer.
Real quick, I watched a couple of Studio Ghibli movies I've never seen before. I watched Marnie was there, and I watched Whisper of the Heart, and I'd never seen either of those films.
Yeah, I haven't seen those.
And neither of them are fantasy movies. They're both like dramas.
Okay.
So it was really interesting to see a Studio Ghibli, because most of the movies I've seen by Studio Ghibli
those aren't Miyazaki movies though. They're Studio Ghibli, but they're not directed by Miyazaki.
But Ghibli does miss.
No, not really.
I mean, although no, didn't they have a recent 3D movie that was a bit iffy?
I don't know.
Yeah,
about
I heard that one was good.
But both of these were classical 2D anime. Marnie was there was pretty good. I mean, they're all 5-star movies, all the ones I've seen. But Marnie was there is interesting because the actual frames of the animation seemed at times to be kind of stilted. Like it wasn't as smooth as I'm used to seeing.
Maybe it was a lower budget. The
animation was still nice. The painted background still looks gorgeous. But Whisper of the Heart was much better. Okay. But that was also earlier. It was like 80 something or something like that. It was like so it had that 80s anime art, and it was like, you know, meticulously hand drawn cells, and
so beautiful,
gorgeous. But yeah, it's interesting to watch a Ghibli movie that is just about like a high school girl at doing high school girl things. It wasn't like a high concept piece. Yeah. Same as Marnie's there. It's just about like, you know, adolescence and stuff. It was really interesting to watch.
Well, I think that's what's interesting. I think we've talked about it before, whereas in the Western world, animation is seen as
a genre.
Yeah, it's a genre in itself or a kid's thing or whatever. It's like in Japan, it's like you can tell any story you want with animation.
So that was really interesting. And I capped it off today, my little movies I haven't seen in a long time in this case, by watching
Get your Letterboxd out.
No. Quick. Jesus Christ. Sorry. I watched True Believer with James Woods. I haven't seen it in years.
Classic James Woods.
When we talking about this?
And man,
I think we're talking about this, or we have talked about it.
Yeah, I'm sure we have.
I can't remember.
Yeah, what a great film, mate.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it?
No.
It's one of the all-time great courtroom dramas. It also has a young, very, very young Robert Downey Jr. as a supporting actor, as a newly minted lawyer who's helping out on this case. It's one of those great movies where, minor spoilers for True Believer.
Don't spoil it because I haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah, I know, but it's like one of those things where it's like, it looks like it's an overwhelming case, and then the whole movie is trying to find that one clue.
Yeah.
You know, that trope, not really a spoiler, but it's like that trope of it's not looking good, and then they need to find that one thing that cracks the case. And it has such a great climax, an emotional climax where James Woods kind of does the whole kind of puts all the pieces together and has his big courtroom speech. Yeah. And you're just like,
closing
justice.
It is one of those things where we talk about. They don't make good courtroom dramas anymore, like good investigation films.
Yeah, that's the thing. It has like it's like the courtroom. It has like the courtroom stuff, but then it's like footwork where it's like going and finding witnesses, talking to the witnesses, chasing guys down alleys.
Kids don't have the attention span anymore. It's kind of just like a joke a minute action.
Yeah, it's not about the kids. It's about that they don't make. We keep talking about every week. They don't make movies. But again, you have to have the broadest audiences.
You have to have the broadest appeal.
Also, he's just such a dirty lawyer with the dirty hair, and you know he smokes drugs, and he does, and you're just like, he's such a real like what's the word I'm looking for? He's almost like a pulp kind of character, and I love it. Like, just like that, his depiction of it, he does it so well. He plays the sleazebag so well.
Nice,
obviously.
Sleazebag lawyer with a heart of gold kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's a lost genre.
Yeah.
I'm done. But yeah, awesome. Yeah.
I mean, Better Call Saul was like the TV.
The comeback of that,
and when they do like courtroom dramas, they go on streaming. Like there was
Juror Number 9 is now
Juror Number 2.
Juror Number 2, yeah, which that's a movie they
just got rid of.
That was Warner Brothers too, wasn't it? Yeah, they were just like, could be Clint Eastwood's last movie. Everyone says it's really good.
Zab's like, you're like, it's getting released at all, mate.
It's like, dump it on streaming.
Have you watched any of the studio yet on Apple?
No, not yet.
That's fun.
It's
essentially about
But no, I was going to say...
It's also got him into lots of trouble.
There was that movie last year or the year before with Jamie Foxx. It was like a courtroom drama, but it was like straight to Amazon.
Who was that famous screenwriter who released one as well and it went to streaming?
Oh, Sorkin did the one...
The Navy
with
one.
Kiefer Sutherland's in it.
Yeah, the Navy one.
No.
I know what you're thinking. I know what Callum's thinking of.
You're talking about the Caine Mutiny.
Yeah.
Which was... William Friedkin did like straight to streaming.
It was based on theatre.
But I thought you were talking about the Chicago 7.
No, that was a great movie though.
That was Netflix. Yeah, that was a big one.
Yeah, that was a while ago though.
That was good.
But that was straight to Netflix. Yeah, but they don't make courtroom dramas like they used to. They don't make action movies like they used to. They don't make comedies like they used to. So every time one of these comes out, I like to go to see them at the movies if we can.
Man, imagine if we just had a small theater near us which played movies like.
Oh, look, I mean, I'm just saying,
like the 9 p.m. session of True Believer with James Woods. I'd be like, yeah,
that would be if you could consistently get. I mean,
sort of random movies from the 80s and 90s.
Like logistically, I don't know how it would work with licensing and getting the print and whatever. But like, if you could like
even
have
digital files,
like just cheap tickets. Yeah, and just like project like old and not even like classics like we're doing Back to the Future.
No, just give us random shit. Yeah,
it's like just do like freaking True Believer. It's like okay, what's that? Then, like, James Wood. Oh, that sounds cool.
And it's like the next day it could be like Pretty Woman or something random. Like,
but Pretty Woman's like
big, but I'm just saying like random movies in the 70s, 80s or 90s,
or just
like
our weekly showing of Casablanca
or Thief
on loop.
You know, Thief by Michael Mann. Can you imagine seeing that?
Oh, that would be great.
Like look, I'm just saying, if we ever won Oz Lotto. We just have a small artistic theater and we just play around just old movies all day.
Yeah.
Like what's the Arnie movie? He just goes and watches old movies. The kid, is it
the Arnie movie?
Not Arnie movie. What is it? He goes into the cinema.
Are you talking about True Romance?
No. It's like the
Last Action Hero?
The Last Action Hero. Like one of those kinds of cinemas. He just playing one single screen. Yeah, he's watching old movie. The kid comes in and watches old movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, what kind of cinema was the character in True Romance going to where you can just go watch random kung fu movies during the day?
Yeah, but that was back in the day when they had those in like that. Yeah. Especially in Australia, like they used to have those, but not anymore.
I feel like obviously there's a market for these kinds of smaller cinemas. You would imagine if you can get the supply chain in place.
Yeah, but I mean, starting any business is extremely hard, and you can imagine starting a movie business when there's these giant corporations.
I mean, but we don't have to have a relationship with Disney. Come on, angel investors, hit us up.
Yeah, but you still need like permission and license.
Yeah, no, we can organize that, I'm sure. But we don't need a relationship with Disney, and we don't need to be playing all the Marvel movies. We just want to play old films.
Yeah,
we'll play out of copyright films.
Yeah, stuff you find on YouTube. Yeah, just project it.
Every year there's new films out of copyright. I'm just saying, we don't need permission. Sorry, we can play local Aussie films.
It's a shame that it's also complex, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, it's a shame you can't just, like, if you're a theater owner, you can't just buy the rights to, like, you can't just pay a sum to a company and be like, look, I'm going to play a digital version of this, you know, and you buy the rights to play it once a month or something.
No, this would be a question.
If you were to pay $1,000 or whatever for the rights to pay some random 90s movie,
it might work that way. It might work that way. We'd have to ask someone like at the Astor how they do it because they show all kinds of movies all the time.
Yeah, but they also get prints in.
And you also, but like when you also get prints that they give you. You don't source your unless, I mean, sometimes you can source your own
sometimes
print,
we're collectors
but it's complicated business. So, I mean, it's easy for us to say, oh, we want to do this, you know, why
I mean, we would be able to do it if we had $100 million, I'm just saying.
Well, we'll see. I mean, we put in our ticket at work, so hopefully we get the...
And then we just open and an auteur theatre.
Yeah.
Pretty much running out of time for tonight, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. You can find the Tuesday Review on all the social media platforms at Tuesday Review AU. That's Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Newsmast, Blue Sky, Twitter, unfortunately.
Delete Twitter.
I mean, but Elon's going to go bankrupt soon, so Twitter might improve. He'll have to sell it.
We'll see.
You heard the goss. Yeah, apparently if the Tesla stock falls under 200 USD,
he's done.
He gets margin called and has to pay a bunch of money back.
Yeah, but people like him never go away they never get.
No, but it would be nice to see some headlines where he has to sell Twitter to recover financial losses. Anyway,
but some other right wing psycho is going to buy it anyway. Like it's not like
that's true.
Anywho.
We're also on Substack at thetuesdayreview.substack.com, YouTube at Tuesday Review AU. Please
subscribe to our YouTube.
Rate, review, give us 5 stars on whatever platform you listen. It helps
Spotify,
boost us
Apple
publicly.
Podcasts.
We're also on Letterboxd. I'm NathanB_90.
I am ChannelDrifter.
And I'm callumtuesday.
We'll be back with more next week. Thanks for listening, everyone.
That's all, folks.
That's all, and adios, cousins.